Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United news. What a day. I mean, what a day, and not in a good way. I mean, I've just got back from Wembley with Seb, which is actually amazing, an amazing experience to take him to his first time, but they did lose. The team we wanted to win did lose, and watching his sad little face when they lost on penalties was harsh, but I suppose he's probably had an introduction to football that I had when I was very young as well, the disappointment. But also, from a Manchester United point of view, another major injury. Harry Maguire out for the rest of the season. Chelsea winning, we're down to 8th in the league. I remember Beth saying this last week, end the season now. I hinted at it this morning. I mean, I just don't know. I don't actually know where to start, really, tonight, because I just think that everybody's entitled to an opinion, and nobody wants an excuse. Nobody likes excuses. We all hate them. It's the human way. But honestly, at this point, are we really going to lurch towards blame here? Are we really going to get beat tomorrow night and start screaming and shouting, sack the manager, or this player's not good enough, or that player? I mean, we are down to the bare bones, and we have been down to the bare bones for so long, and we're probably going to lose to Palace, we're probably going to lose to Arsenal, and we're probably going to lose to Newcastle before a ball's even been kicked. And I don't know whether some people can get their head around this, but I don't want us to lose those games, but we probably are going to lose 3 in a row because it's virtually impossible to play at the Premier League level with what we have at the moment. And some people just won't accept it. Some people will just use it as a stick to bang certain players or bang the manager or whatever. But to me, I mean, I was at Wembley and I got a message from our producer, Ryan, about Maguire. And I said to Will, I said, we may as well just stop. We may as well just forfeit the season, like Polo says. Like, there actually isn't any point in it because you just can't do it. You can't do it. Like, people are saying we've got to beat Palace tomorrow, but we needed to beat Burnley, really. We needed to win quite a lot of games this season, and you're just not going to do it. Look at Chelsea now. They've actually got a bit of rhythm going. They've actually found an 11 that works. They've got their midfield 3 working quite well. They've got a front 3 working quite well, and they've got a back 4 working quite well. It's not their ideal team. They have had a lot of injuries, but they've got a bit of rhythm going. Newcastle are the same. Newcastle have got a lot of injuries, but when you look at the Newcastle team, it still makes sense. Left back, right back, 2 centre-backs, midfielders, 3 people who can play there, 3 front 3. Same with Chelsea. They have got a lot of injuries, but they can get a back 4 out, they can get a midfield out, and they can get an attack out. You look at United, we can't get a back 4 out. We haven't got a left back. We've got no centre-backs now. It reminds me so much, and I want to make this very, very clear here. Harry Maguire is not the sort of player that is going to down tools and fancy 3 weeks off before the Euros. And I've not heard anybody say it, and I hope they don't. I'm not using Harry Maguire as an example here, but I will say, in my opinion, some of those players just don't fancy it. I don't know who out of the injured players don't fancy it, but it's so reminiscent of Rangnick 2 years ago, where, you know, he was basically hung out to dry. He'd mentioned what needed to be done, and players just were like, oh, I've got a bit of a knock. Oh, I don't fancy it. And I think we've got that going on again. I can't believe in a season where we've had a legitimate pandemic of injuries, we come towards the end of the season and we're getting even more. I mean, this is not bad luck. There's a rhythm here. I was listening to the radio on the way home, and they were talking about Spurs. And they were talking about Spurs, and I think it was Alan Pardew who said it, who's obviously managed numerous clubs. And he said there's a certain type of player, and they don't change. They don't change. If they're an inconsistent player, they'll always be an inconsistent player. What they will do is, for 5 or 6 months, they can play quite well, and then they'll revert to type. And I thought, I'm bringing this into the show tonight. Basically said there are types of players. There are Kevin De Bruyne's who can turn it on week in, week out, year on year. The Salahs, the Messis, the Ronaldos. And then there are the other players that can turn it on for a few months and then turn it off for a few months. And they never change. Nobody ever was a inconsistent player until they were 26 and then suddenly became a De Bruyne. It doesn't happen like that because it's who they are. It's how they're wired. And he was saying that with Spurs, there's still loads of work to do with Spurs, because what's happened is Ange has gone in for 6 months. The players have responded to him and then they've reverted to type, and that's why they've gone shit again. And it's the same with United. We've got so many players here that just revert to type. We've got a certain type of player that just doesn't really fancy it. They'll switch it on when they want and they'll switch it off when they don't want. And I think that I don't necessarily need to name those players, because that's not my point. My point is, I don't for 1 minute believe that the injuries that we have at the moment are all legitimate. I don't. I just don't see it. I can't see it. I don't understand it. I think there are certain players that have probably seen the pressure, have probably seen the external noise, and thought, I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want to be associated with that. I don't fancy that. And I tell you what, I'm sure you as a United fan, like me, if I was anywhere near fit enough and I could play centre-back, I'd be driving up tomorrow and saying, Ten Hag, put me in. Because I'd be going the wrong way. I need to go down Selhurst Park. But you know what I mean? I love this football club. The privileged position some of these players are in, if we were in a title race, we wouldn't have the injury race. We wouldn't have the injury list we've got. I know this. I've spoken to players. It's absolutely true. If you're in a title race, people want to play. If you're in the situation United are in, if you're in that place, people are like, ooh, that's a bit tight. 3 weeks, you know, that's a bit tight. I'll have a month off. You know, I think that there are players that just don't fancy it at United at the moment, and it's sad. It's sad. And I'm not saying Maguire, because that would be completely unfair, because I think Harry Maguire has been a player that has 100%, you know, put his body on the line the last few weeks, and he's probably now injured properly because he's been putting his body on the line. But apparently Maguire's out for 3 weeks, which basically puts him out until the FA Cup final. I don't think we've got anybody else back. Crystal Palace are a good team. We're going to lose tomorrow. Like, if we don't lose tomorrow, it will be an absolute shock. And I think it prevents a proper conversation. I genuinely think the saddest thing is, one, we're just going to drop down the league and plummet. But I don't know how Ineos look at this. And I don't know how we look at this as a fan, because I don't think we can have an honest conversation about anything based on what has basically happened this season and what's happening now. You can't judge style of play and you can't judge results, because we haven't got a team. Like, you can't do it. If this was Klopp or this was Arteta and they had the injuries that we've got and people were shouting, Arteta out, or Klopp out, or whatever, Klopp out, you know, you'd look at it and go, come on. You know, he might not be the right guy, but look at the team he's having to pick. I mean, who's playing centre-back tomorrow? Evans and Casemiro. I mean, we're going to get beat. We're going to get beat because we just haven't got a team that can function to the level we want it to function. And I just think that people who don't realise that are because they can't compartmentalise it. People are judging our results as if it's like we're putting our best team out. The team is just so bad at the moment. It's so bad. We're going to have a bench full of kids again. I just want this season over. If I could hit that button now and we're building the team, selling players, buying players for next season, I'd do it, because it's just ridiculous. Gog says, Varane, Lindelof, Camboire, Maguire all out. Varane, Maguire, Martinez, maybe Evans, Camboire, Lindelof all out. Yeah, all out. None of them are expected back for tomorrow. And if any of them do play tomorrow, it's going to be a risk that they get injured. That was what I got told about an hour ago. No fit centre-backs. And if anybody does play at centre-back, from Evans, Varane, Martinez, Lindelof, Maguire and Camboire, if any of those centre-backs play tomorrow, it's a high risk that they'll get injured. So we've got no centre-backs, basically. Jim Jones says, being a realist, but are we finishing 8th? Mate, this is why I'd end the season. I don't think we've got a chance of not finishing 8th at the moment. I mean, I'll put the league table up in a minute and we'll talk about that. Those that cannot see the injuries crisis are blind, says Mr. D. I get it. No, I do get it. Look, I get it, Mr. D. I really do get it. I think there are people out there that want the manager out, want certain players out. I get it. When you get frustrated, people deal with it in a different way. And if we get beat tomorrow night, there will be a massive Ten Hag out movement. I understand it. When you lose a game, it's very easy to go after a manager. But I'm telling you, before the loss, we're losing. And we're losing because of the injuries. So, I'm not making the excuse after the game. I'm telling you now, I think we'll lose tomorrow, and I think we'll lose because we haven't got a team that we can put out. And I think any manager would lose to Crystal Palace tomorrow with the players that we've got available. I don't think that game's winnable. I hope the players go out there and prove me wrong, and it's not an excuse. If I see players putting in 4 or 5s, they'll get given a 4 or 5. But it's just, I'd expect us to lose any game tomorrow. Luton, even, well, maybe not Sheffield United, but I think it's just not a winnable game. Red Army says, never stop calling out cheating, sports washing at Oil State. The facts are all out there and their owners are getting scared what's coming, says Red Army. I'll be talking on my podcast about the cease and desist letter, and I'll have the letter for you on the podcast on Tuesday. So for anybody who's interested in that, Tuesday's podcast normally would be tomorrow, but it's a bank holiday. So I'll have the letter. I'm not scared, and at the end of the day, if it's the end of That's Football, it's the end of That's Football, but I will read the letter out and I will tell you what it's all about. Anthony has played left wing back before if needed, says Cody. Great. We'll definitely beat Palace. That's most of the squad, Mark, says Carrios. Let me just say this, every centre-back we've got at this football club is injured. Lindelof, Maguire, Martinez, Evans and Varane. 5 senior centre-backs injured, and then a youth player that's been thrown in, Kambwala, injured. They're all injured. We have Kraft centre-back. If you don't finish 6th, says Biggin. And a few weeks ago, I said 4th will go to the best of the inconsistent teams, says Niki. Look, Chelsea have a Cole Palmer carrying them, says Samuel. And Keel Robinson says 3-5-2. Look, Chelsea are playing really well at the moment. And I feel that with Chelsea at the moment, their team is way better than us. The stupid thing is we should have beat them. We should have beat Chelsea a few weeks ago, and it's going to be very, very costly the way the referee dealt with that game. Nobody will talk about that, but it was a badly officiated game, and it's going to cost us because they're playing really well at the moment, and I think Chelsea will probably win all 3 games. They've won today. Their goal difference is brilliant. Newcastle won yesterday. I can't see how we stop. I can see Chelsea winning every single game. But the sad thing is, 5th place, 60 points is shit. It's really shit. Like 60 points with 3 games to go for 5th place is rubbish. Like 4th place for me should be about 73 points. And 5th place should be about 70 points. So Spurs have done well from where they've come from, but that's a crap points total. 56 points for Newcastle is crap. 54 points for Chelsea is crap. And 54 points for Man United is crap. Newcastle, Chelsea and Man United have all got a massive excuse. Injuries destroyed our season. Where's Brighton? Brighton have won today. They're not even in the top half. That's crap. But they've had a load of injuries as well. So Newcastle, Man United, Chelsea, Brighton, injuries 100% are why we are where we are. Pochettino shouldn't get the sack. De Zerbi shouldn't get the sack. Howe shouldn't get the sack. And you know what I think about Ten Hag. But Spurs with 60 points is crap. And I think that if Newcastle, Chelsea and United had just a month more with players back, then Spurs would be down in 8th. And my point is, it's really just about who's got the momentum at the end of the season. And Newcastle have found a way. They've found a system. Chelsea have found a way. They've found a system. We can't find a way because every bloody game, we can't. Look, Newcastle have got Kraft at centre-back, and they've got Byrne at centre-back, and they've got Hall at left-back, and they've got Livramento at right-back. But they are, as bad as you might think they are actually all playing in position. They found a way to put a team together. Manchester United tomorrow, we will have no left back, we will have no centre backs, which means our midfield will be weakened because we'll have midfielders playing at centre back. It's just going to be a mismatch again. Well, whereas you look at the Chelsea lineup today. Yes, they've got loads of injuries, but tell me what the problem with the Chelsea lineup is when you've got Petrovic, goalkeeper, Chalobah, Silva, Badiashile and Cucurella. You've got Casido, Gallagher and Palmer and Madueke, Mudryk and Jackson. It's not their best 11, but it's balanced. That's not Newcastle's best 11, but it's balanced. We can't put a balanced team out. Who knows who's playing at centre-back tomorrow? We know we haven't got a left-back. Who knows who's playing in the midfield tomorrow? It's just imbalanced, and it's a different team every bloody game. So I would say we're probably going to finish 8th, which means no European football. Here's an interesting point for you, actually. I was thinking about this driving back from Wembley. Now, if you're Ten Hag, what do you do? We can all say sack Ten Hag. We can all say back Ten Hag. But I was thinking about this driving home. What would you do? Right? You look at the league table and you know that Chelsea and Newcastle have got a better team than you at the moment because they can put a balanced team out and they've got momentum. You look at your team. You try and win, but you've got no balance. And you've got to play Palace away, Arsenal away. You're probably not going to get where Chelsea and Newcastle is. Your fitness people are probably saying, you know what, at a push, you might be able to play Shaw and Martinez for the Arsenal game. And then you say, what if I don't push them? What if I bring them back for the Newcastle game or the Brighton game in preparation for the FA Cup final? And they go, even better. If you can give them another week or two, get them back for the Brighton game, and then play them, and they'll be fully fit for the Man City game. Would you do that? Or would you rush them back because you need league results? I'm at a point now where I'm almost going, the most important thing is I put the best team I can out in the FA Cup final, because if I win it, I get a trophy and I get Europa League anyway. Are we at a point now where you just go, I can't risk rushing players back. I've actually just got to take the hit and focus on the FA Cup. Get to the FA Cup final with the strongest team I've got and hope we catch Man City out. Because I think by the FA Cup final, you might be in a situation where you can put this team out. Onana, Dalot, Varane, Martinez, Luke Shaw, Casemiro, Mainu, Bruno, Garnacho, Højlund, Rashford. You know, you can probably put that team out in the FA Cup final, but you won't be able to put that team out if you start risking players bringing them back when they're not fully fit. So, I don't know. I don't know whether you would put up with that as well. I don't know whether the media will allow that. I mean, I read some right bollocks tonight, which I'll talk about in a moment. But, yeah, it's so difficult. And I think, you know, make your own minds up. Make your own minds up. 100% make your own minds up. I don't care what you think. Well, I do care what you think, but I don't want anybody to be thinking the same of me. You've got to independently think about it. But my stance is I can't judge this anymore. I can't judge where we are in the league anymore because it doesn't. It matters, but it doesn't make sense to me anymore. Like I don't know what we're supposed to do about this league table now. I don't know what we're supposed to do with no senior centre-back fit out of 6. I just don't know what people expect. Like, I think we will lose tomorrow. I think we will lose against Arsenal, and we'll probably lose against Newcastle because we're an absolute broken mess. And people can say, we're Manchester United, but it's also a very competitive Premier League below Manchester City. And we've got no centre-backs. We've got no left-back. The midfield is really weak as well. We've got no midfield. We've got no centre-backs. We've got no left-back. And I look at Chelsea and Newcastle, and they're better than us at the moment. So 8th place is probably where we're going to end up. If it's any higher than that, well done. I think you've just got to you've got to write the league off and go, let's focus on that FA Cup final. Let's start focusing on that FA Cup final now. Let's start focusing on that FA Cup final having Martinez and Shaw fit. Let's focus on having Maguire and Varane fit, Rashford fit. Let's focus on that FA Cup final and working towards that because it's going to be a one-shot lottery. If we win it, we're in the Europa League, we've got a trophy. If we lose it, we're in a right fucking mess. But I think that's almost where it's got to now. Amazing how the injuries has risen 400% since 2021 and 2022 when everyone was forced to take that shot in the arm, says Parker. I don't know about that. The foundation of last season is gone. No progress, says Mr. D. Yeah, I think that's because of injuries, though. Bruno and Casemiro for centre-backs tomorrow, says Sayan. I don't know. 6th is useless if we win the FA Cup, so focus on that, says Abhijit. So we got to beat Man City or no European football, says Jaden. Hi, Mark. City using Lance Armstrong tactics. If you know, you know, says Ray. I don't know. This boils down to football knowledge, says Mr. D. Ten Hag is going to have to play centre-back tomorrow, says Jay Wood. Part of being the boss is taking fire for bad results, no matter the industry and no matter the reasons, says Cody. You're wrong and you're right. I mean, if you're the boss, you always have to take the heat. You're correct. But intelligent people also have to give mitigating circumstances. Otherwise, we're idiots. We can't just go and say, you know, last season Liverpool were crap, sack Jurgen Klopp. You've got to look at what he's trying to build. You've got to look at the injuries. Of course you have. What you're basically saying is no matter what the reason, the manager's always culpable and you must sack them. But I don't agree with that. Dominic, thank you very much. Welcome to the Members Club. You're a legend. And Jim Jones had said that as well. I don't think Ten Hag would not risk them once he knows Martinez or Shaw is back. We need to win the FA Cup, though. To stand a bit. Look, I like a siege mentality. I really, really do. I want United to win tomorrow. If anything, it makes me even more focused that we win tomorrow. And my message tonight to Delo and Bruno and Rasmus and Garnacho and Mainu and everybody else who is playing tomorrow is you lads can be the heroes. Like, we know you are David to the Crystal Palace Goliath tomorrow. And that's a weird thing to say because Man United should always be the Goliath and Crystal Palace should be the underdog. But I know, because I've played the game, I've watched the game. I know what those injuries mean for this team. We are decimated. And it makes a massive impact. But those players tomorrow could be bloody heroes if we go and win. And I'll be firmly behind them, of course. But it's going to be very, very difficult. It really is. And I think that United, you know, we need something, you know, massive tomorrow to try to get a result. Really do. Interestingly, there was a story that that really caught my mind, which I wanted to bring in here. And I don't know whether anybody remembers this, but it goes back to the 2009-2010 season. I've mentioned it before. And apparently Sir Alex Ferguson even tried to have a game postponed. Vidic and Ferdinand weren't fit, so Ferguson had no option but to drag his midfielders back into the heart of the back four. The defensive back four that day persisted of Valencia at right back, Carrick and Fletcher at centre back, and Richie De Ligt at left back with Kuszczek in goal. United lost 3-0. Apparently Sir Alex Ferguson was talking about weather conditions to Howard Webb to try and get it postponed. And we played with Carrick and Fletcher at centre-back. And that was a very good Man United side. It was a very, very, very good Manchester United side. And we won the league that season. But it just shows you can learn a lot from the past. And you need to ignore some stuff from the past. But Manchester United lost 3-0 to Fulham in a season that we won the league because we had no centre-backs. So a Premier League winning Man United side had to go to Fulham with no centre-backs and we lost 3-0. You have to use your head. You have to use your head. These are specialist positions at the highest echelon of football. And people want to go, Ten Hag out. It's disgusting. Ten Hag out. If Sir Alex Ferguson, with one of the best Man United sides, loses 3-0 to Fulham because he's got no fit centre-backs and he's playing Carrick and Fletcher there, it's just another example of how big an issue it is when you have no fit centre-backs. So when we go into this game tomorrow, let's go into it for war. Let's go into it with a siege mentality. But let's also go into it eyes wide open. We are massive underdogs because we haven't got a defence. And also, it weakens our midfield because we've got to put midfielders into the defence. So we will struggle. We will struggle. And a Premier League Man United side struggled at Fulham 16 years ago. You might not want it because you want to sack the manager, but I'm telling you now, it's an excuse. And I hate it. I absolutely hate it, and I'm sure you do as well. Because if you want Ten Hag out, you probably want to watch a Man United go and go, look, that's why he's not good enough. And if we win tomorrow, I want to go, that's why he's good enough. But let's be honest, you can't do it because everyone can say, how can you judge him with a team like that? And if we win tomorrow and I go, this is why we need to back him, you can also go, you can't judge him on that. It's not even his team. I said it about the Liverpool game. You know, when we beat Liverpool and Brentford, I said, oh, amazing, amazing victory. But you can't learn anything from how we beat Liverpool in the FA Cup. You can't learn anything from how we beat Brentford in the Premier League. Because as we all know, fuck knows what that team was at the end. It was just gung-ho football. It's not, it works both ways. You can win a game tomorrow night and you can lose a game tomorrow night, but you're not going to see any rhythm. You're not going to see any style of play because we haven't got the players. So it's just frustrating. It's frustrating for everybody because no matter what the results, the excuse will be, well, that's not our real team, is it? So I just want to get to the FA Cup final, pull off a miracle and start the season for next year. Kyle says we'll win tomorrow. Well, I think it's going to be very difficult. We lose a lot of height with Harry gone too as well, says Cody. Yeah. Do a predicted lineup after the injuries, Mark. Can we please use Scooby-Doo? If he's fit, sack him. He might not be fit. Why isn't it the Premier League has become more even and all the points are distributed more evenly over all the teams, says Frederick? Because it's a competitive league apart from Man City. Arteta dropped to 8th before climbing back to the title challenging team. Back Ten Hag, give him more time, says BDJ. And with no summer break for the players, could all the injuries carry on next season as well? Yes, Barrel, I think you might be on something there. He won't just accept our worst finish in 30 years, says Robert. Robert, I don't think you're listening. You're normally very intelligent. You're not listening to what we're talking about. You're making it into a Ten Hag in-out argument. We're talking about a decimated, frustrating season for everybody. And if you can't see, like other people can see, that we're just in a position where we're writing off a season because it makes no sense anymore. We've had 30 different centre-backs combinations, and tomorrow we won't even have a combination because we haven't got any centre-backs. Reminds me of Jose during the Europa final, says Mr. D. Thank you very much. Look, I have to bring this in. I've seen a lot of people sharing this tonight, and look, I don't care. If you don't call it out, we live in a dictatorship, so I'm going to call it out. I saw this article today about Jason Wilcox in the Manchester Evening News, and I thought, you know what? Quite an interesting article. It speaks about how Wilcox will focus on the summer transfer window. He's been speaking with agents over the last couple of weeks. One source spoke about Wilcox and said he's a good football man. Another source said that Wilcox and him were very different. There was a feeling within the industry that Murtagh had been too willing to give Ten Hag what he wanted when it came to incomings. And I thought, you know what? I'm calling this out. I'm calling this bullshit out straight here, straight now. Because I don't know who that journalist thinks he is. And I don't know who he thinks his sources are in the Manchester Evening News. But I'll call bullshit out. So basically, you're going to put in your article that Murtagh, there was a feeling in the industry that Murtagh had been too willing to give Ten Hag what he wanted. Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. So we're now trying to spin a story that Murtagh and Man United and the Glazers gave Ten Hag what he wanted. Bull fucking shit. Absolute proven wank. Nonsense. What the fuck are you even typing? Murtagh, there's a feeling that Murtagh gave Ten Hag what he wanted. Oh, is that Kim Min-jae in our set? Oh, I thought it was Johnny Evans that we got on a free transfer. Oh, it's been Kim Min-jae all along, has it? Oh, I tell you what, Harry Kane's had a very quiet season, hasn't he? You know, Harry Kane's had a really quiet season considering we signed him last summer. And Johnny Evans, I tell you what, I never knew that Kim Min-jae looked like Johnny Evans. Oh, and Frankie de Jong's been doing great with us for the last couple of years. Oh, and Darwin Nunez as well. Oh, and Timber. Yeah, let's not forget Timber. Fuck off. come on. Let's not rewrite history here. Let's not spin an agenda. Let's be honest. If you want to attack the manager or you want to attack the way the club's run, at least use some fucking common sense. Murta, there was a feeling that Murta gave Ten Hag everything that he wanted. Oh, yeah. Flew out to Barcelona and came back with a stick of rock instead of Frenkie de Jong. Flew out to Turin and came back with a bloody packet of pasta instead of Rabiot. Mate, do yourself a favour. Gakpo's another one. João Felix. Mate, we ain't stupid. Do your bloody work. Don't type and make yourself look a prat. Like, we have not given this manager what he wanted. We have not given Mourinho what he wanted. We probably didn't give Solskjaer what he wanted. One of the biggest problems of the last 10 years, Van Gaal didn't get what he wanted. We don't give our managers what they want. I will defend Van Gaal. I will defend Moyes. I will defend Ollie. I will defend Mourinho. And I will defend Ten Hag. All of them. I will defend every single one of them because they didn't get what they wanted. And every single one of them has said it in an interview since they've left. And Ten Hag hasn't said it yet. Although he did with Neville the other day about Kane. But the point, and De Jong, the point is they don't get what they want because they're shit at their job. Murta didn't get what people people wanted because he wasn't very good at his job. It's as simple as that. So I will call that out. Because I think hopefully Wilcox is going to do a good job. But let's not shine Wilcox's shoes by making out that Murta was bad because he gave Ten Hag what he wanted. He didn't. Casemiro and Martinez were very good signings. Neither were first choice. Neither of them were first choice. He wanted an experienced striker last summer. No. He wanted a top quality centre-back last summer. No. He hasn't got what he wanted. Far, 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 far from it. Even Anthony was a player that he wanted in June. They said no and then panic bought him for massive money at the end of August. If you want to take a trip down memory lane, I'll hold your hand. And I'll sit you down as well. Like, Ten Hag has not been given what he wanted when he wanted it. Neither was Mourinho. Neither was Van Gaal. Like, let's not rewrite history here. Let's not try and paint the Glazers and Murta in a good light. They were shit at their jobs. Hopefully Wilcox and everyone else coming in will be good at it. But let's not start associating it with previous managers. Absolutely not. We couldn't even sell what he wanted to sell. Exactly. And let's have a look. Apparently Kraft is a right back. He was played out of position. Yeah, mate, we haven't even got a right back to play at centre back because we haven't got any right backs. Because one of our right backs is playing at left back, so we can't even play a right back at centre back. We can't play left backs or right backs at centre back. I mean, Luke Shaw can play at left. Luke Shaw can play left centre back if you've got Malacia fit. We haven't got either of them fit. Wan-Bissaka might be able to play at centre back. He can't because he's got to play right back because Delot's got to play left back. So we can't even play a full back at centre back. I mean, Gary Neville could play centre back. So well done to Newcastle. You've got a right back that can actually play at centre back. It's not uncommon. We've done it with Luke Shaw. We don't have any centre-backs. We've got no fit centre-backs and we've got no full-backs that can play at centre-back because they're having to play right-back and left-back. We've got nothing at centre-back at all. We're playing midfielders there. And that's why we got beat at Craven Cottage 3-0 because we had Carrick and Fletcher there. It's a specialist position. The only people who can play centre-back are centre-backs and full-backs. Very, very rare that anyone else can do it. Very, very rare. We're in trouble. I think Mason Mount should be here to compete with Bruno sometimes, says Mr. Dark. Class player, but there are periods when he underperforms. Also, those times you just want to sub to see something different. So, okay. Oh, Robert, sorry, apologies. Robert says, I'm saying Ten Hag won't write the season off. No, I mean, Robert, sorry, apologies. I'm not going to write the season off. You're not going to write the season off, Robert. But what I'm saying is, that Crystal Palace game tomorrow and Arsenal next weekend, we're fucked. I played the game. And I'm not mean I've played the game. I've watched the game. I know we're fucked tomorrow. I know it. I know it. I know this Premier League. I watch it all the time. I know the quality of Crystal Palace. We're fucked. All you've got to do as a Crystal Palace manager today is put a team out with the structure, with everybody playing in position, and say they'll make mistakes. They'll make mistakes because they're weak. Just play the game. Don't play the opposition. Play the game. We will beat them because we've got players in position that they don't have, and we've also got a better bench. Calmly play the game of football and you'll win it. Whereas Man United are going to go into that game going, fucking hell, just try and do what you can, lads. I know it's not your position, but try and do what you can. Just try and do a job. And that's going to be the balancing act. I'd love us to win tomorrow. I really would. I really would. And as I said, the great thing is if you are playing tomorrow, two things. One, the fans are going to have your back because you're putting on a shirt for United at a time when a lot of people can't. And two, if you do win, people will remember it because they'll go, fucking hell, well done, lads. Getting a result against a good team away from home with the injuries we've got, it's an opportunity. It really is. Anyway, look, I'm going to get off because I've been at... I'll leave this to the end, right? A lot of people say to me, why don't you get to go to many Man United games? And I took Seb to Wembley today. I had the opportunity to go to Wembley for the National League final because Solihull Moors, I live in Solihull, and it was their chance to get promoted. So we went down to Wembley. Solihull only took about 4,000 fans. Bromley had about 20. It was amazing. Like half of Wembley was full, and there was this little corner. 2-2, extra time. Solihull Moors lost on penalties, and it was. I loved it. You know, taking Seb, who's only 6, to Wembley for the first time and seeing how excited he was, screaming and shouting and we were surrounded by Bromley fans. It was just absolutely fantastic. Sad to see what his face was like when they lost, but I just said to him, look, it's sad, but this is the game you're going to love for the rest of your life, and you will lose. You will lose and you will win, and when you win, you enjoy it and you cherish it because there will be plenty of losses. And you know, this is what I always say about 1999, I lived in Ireland and I was at a house party watching in the new camp, and obviously I met one of the best, probably the best footballing night, well, easily the best footballing night of my life. And I remember, I've said this a few times, I don't remember much after the game must have finished at about 10 o'clock. I don't remember much what happened between 10 o'clock at night and 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't remember. I have no recollection. I assume we went down to Gibney's in Malahide, but I don't remember being there. I don't remember what happened. I have no recollection of that night after Solskjaer's goal, but I do remember being on Malahide Beach with a couple of the lads, cigars and whiskey at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I remember one of the lads saying something like, we'll win it again next year. And I said, there's no guarantee. In fact, I don't think we'll ever do this again. I think this is the peak. I don't want to go to bed because in the morning it will never feel this good again. And it never did. But I had that moment. I had that moment and I had that time, that few minutes, smoking a cigar with a whiskey, looking out to sea. And I'll always have that. So every loss hurts because you always want to win. And I was right. I'll never have that again. But I had it. And some of you had it as well. And it was, it's amazing to have that today, to just see him looking at the football like that. And I know he's got that bug. I know it. I can see it. And it's a very, very proud moment. But you know what? A lot of people say, take him to United games. And I'm like, of course I'm going to take him to United games. He's only 6. Like, the next few years are the key years to start taking him to United games and stuff like that. But it was fantastic today. It was really, 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 really great. And I hope United can get back. I really do, because I want him to have all that as well. I really do. And I want all you to have all that as well. I know we argue and fall out, but I hope the reason we argue and fall out is because we all dream the same dream and want the same thing. I want you to be sat on that beach or in that bar or in that house party or in that ground, and I want you to have that moment that I had in 1999 where you reflect and go, that's it. whatever happens, I had that. Because we bloody deserve it. This great club is the best club in the world. Like, I've been doing my book recently. I was recording some of the audio for it on Thursday, and one of the chapters is about why I support Manchester United. And I had to stop because I got really emotional because my granddad's dead, and I didn't get told in the booth that he's been dead for a while. It wasn't a shock. I didn't read the chapter and go, fucking hell, he's dead. No, I was reading the chapter about why I support Man United, and there's a whole, the book, like, when it comes out, please do read it, but there's a whole set chapter about choosing the team that you support, and I go through every option I had, and I had an Everton shirt, and I lived in Nottingham, and the first game I really remember watching was Coventry winning the FA Cup. So there's loads of ways, and my parents support different teams to each other. But the bit where it's about Man United is really about my granddad, and it just got me. I had to take a breath and take a break, because reading it, even though I wrote it sort of at Christmas, reading it back for the audio just really grabbed me, because it's like, it's true. And the reason when you're reading it out, your words as to why I support this football club, is because as a kid, when my granddad was telling me about it, I loved football. And then there's this story about this team, which is just earth-shattering, really. It's like the best film you've ever watched. It's tragedy, it's resurrection, it's the abyss, relegation, it's not winning the league, it's being this massive club that looks like it's never going to come back. And then it comes back and dominates, and then it has the treble, and then it falls off again. It's just it's an amazing football club, and it's a shame it's fallen into the hands that it has. And the custodians of this football club, I believe, should always be people who understand what the football club is. And it's a disgrace that we sold it to overseas people who just want profit. Manchester United should never, I love the people in 2005 who walked away in protest because they got it, and many of us didn't. This football club should never have been allowed to fall into the hands of business people. It's a stain on what this football club is. If you know what this football club is and what it's been through and what it means to people, it should never have been allowed to fall into the hands of business people. And shame on the people who allowed that, because it wasn't the fans. Shame on the people who did that deal. Shame on you, whoever it was. And we know who it was, but, shame on you, because you should never, ever. I mean, look, if a City fan tried to buy the United stand tomorrow and I just walked away, shame on me. Shame on me. Like, I know what this is, and that should mean something. But for us as fans, it will always mean something. And this is why it's important that we get back where we are. And this is why some of you want the manager sacked, because you think that will get us back to where we are. I don't. But we all dream the same dream, and we all want the same thing, don't we? And sometimes it's important to take note of that, because I think there is a lot of toxicity, and there is a lot of falling out, and there's a lot of hate. But don't ever question why I support Manchester United, and I won't ever question why you support Manchester United. You might do it in a way I don't agree with, but fundamentally, we all dream the same dream and we want the same thing, because that's what this football club does to us all. And shame on anybody who thinks opposite. Fantastic show tomorrow. Today. There will be one tomorrow. Unfortunately, the Chelsea game derailed us, and the injuries ran us into the village. It's over. I agree, Jefferson. I actually do think it's got to a point where I can't criticise or praise this team at the moment, because it's just, I don't recognise it. It's gone beyond a farce. It's farcical what we are at the moment, injuries-wise. The only true way you can just ask Ten Hag is by giving him a good summer and getting the players he wants, says Sohel. The board are investigating to why we have to have so many injuries, says Jevon. Thank you very much for watching. I'll speak to you in a bit. Take care. You're absolute legends. God bless. Thanks, Stephen.